Hey y'all, it's Joe Barnum with Joe's Monogram Vacations. I hope you guys are having a great Sunday night, getting ready for the week tomorrow. Just realized my fan behind me looks like I have a helicopter hat on. Oh well, whatever. I am gonna move y'all so that this doesn't distract you like crazy, because it will distract me. Okay, maybe I can't. Okay, maybe that works. So I had a question come in this week that I thought would be a great one to share with y'all. It was a mom looking to do a cruise with her husband, their two kids, and she said, what's the best cruise line for families? And I thought, wow, that is a really, really great question. And it varies. You know, one thing that I try to definitely communicate to all of my clients is that vacations are not a one-size-fits-all thing. What is perfect for this family is not what's perfect for this family. What my family does may not be what your family does. And my job is to figure out the perfect option for each different group traveling. So that being said, there's not one blanket answer to her question, but there are a few that I would recommend. So I was thinking about this, and when I think about family cruising, I think of three lines right off the top of my head that one standard that I try to have for my clients is, I'm not gonna send you anywhere that I wouldn't go myself. Perfect example of that is Carnival. I do not work with Carnival because I would never ever sail with them, and I cannot in good conscience send my clients with them. There are three. This is not an extensive list because like Princess isn't on here, but I would totally take my family on an Alaskan cruise with Princess. But these are just three overall that I would say have it down for families the best. So number 3 is Royal Caribbean. Everybody's heard of Royal Caribbean. They sail everywhere, out of everywhere. That's one huge bonus of Royal Caribbean. They have ports everywhere and they're porting out of them a lot. So for instance, New Orleans. There are other cruise lines who will only port out of there like 6 weeks or less. Royal Caribbean, if they're gonna do a New Orleans port, will stay there longer. They port out of Galveston all the time. Boston, or the New York area, Miami, Cape Canaveral, obviously, Tampa, they have some ports out of Tampa. They just have so many ports. They have fantastic ships, and one thing that I really like about Royal Caribbean is they're a great option if you have preteens or teenagers, because there is so much to do on their ships. So they have rock climbing, they have a surf simulator, they have ice skating on some, they have this cool, like, I don't really know how to explain it. You are up in like this bubble at night looking at the stars through a telescope. It's amazing. There are lots of like simulators, 3D movies, you know, lots of activities and stuff, and it's really great for the older kids who would get bored easily. With the smaller kids, the problem with Royal Caribbean is, and this is actually almost any cruise line other than my number 1, which I'm sure you already know what I'm gonna say, but the kids clubs shut down at odd hours. So your kids wanna go play in there at 2 o'clock and you'll go and realize that it's closed until dinner time or something. Their kids clubs don't stay open all day, which is one of their drawbacks, I think, for families. Also, one thing that I always just make sure my clients know ahead of time is that Royal Caribbean is not an all-inclusive fare. You are paying the fare to get on the ship. Most of their all of their specialty restaurants are going to cost extra. Their excursions are going to cost extra. A lot of their activities on the board are going to cost extra. So their fares are lower a lot of times, but then when you factor in a lot of that, all of a sudden that cost starts going way up. So that's just one of my drawbacks to Royal Caribbean. But if you know that ahead of time and you've planned accordingly, that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's a great option. Like I said, if you've got teenagers, it is really a great option. Now, you may have heard or seen on TV, they do great advertising. Their private island, Coco Cay, is not new. They've had this island forever, but they've recently just totally like revamped it, and it is awesome, y'all. There's a water park on their island. There are swim up bars, there are adult only areas, restaurants, entertainment. They have really like raised the bar for the cruise line's private islands. Coco Cay is incredible. I have heard from several people who have been since the update that it is the best cruise line island out there, better than Castaway. Now, I will not get to see the new one until June or July. I can't remember when I'm sailing, but in the summer is when I'm going to be able to go check it out myself, because I cannot wait to see the updates. But yeah, the water park and kids, teens are going to absolutely love that. There's just so much to do on those ships. You will not get bored, especially, and this is also something to consider. If you come to me and you say, hey, we want to do a Royal Caribbean cruise, and you've got 2 teenagers, there are some Royal Caribbean ships that I'm not going to put you on because you would be bored to tears. Some of their newer ships, like the Symphony and that sort of thing, have a lot more going on. They have a lot more bells and whistles than some of their more basic ships or older ships. And it's just a matter of knowing which ones are a good fit for what kind of families. So that's something to keep in mind too. But yeah, Royal Caribbean is really, really, really a great option. One thing that's nice when you're picking your stateroom is a lot of people, including my family, my husband has told me he will not sail unless we have a balcony room, ever. And I'm like, are you serious? Because my thing is like, we could save a lot of money and not get a balcony. And he's like, no, I will not sail without a balcony room. My problem is the very first time we sailed, that's the kind of room I booked for us. And so now he's spoiled. And I guess it kind of goes both ways, because I've never sailed without a balcony room either, now that I think about it. But I would, oh, there's like a bug in my house. Y'all, it is so hot. Like, it was so hot today. I'm wearing like a summery outfit today because I was like, it's 90 degrees. It's September. We were celebrating my son's turning 6 years old. We were celebrating his birthday. And I always think of his birthday as like a fall thing, but I'm like, it is hot as Hades. So I like put on a tank top, and I'm sweaty. So anyway, I really need it to freeze because I'm tired of bugs. I need all the bugs to die. And I need to be able to wear fall clothes. But really, the bugs have got to die. I really need it to cool off. Anyway, that had nothing to do with cruise lines and families. So anyway, Royal Caribbean was my third choice. It is a great choice. They price out very well, as long as you just keep in mind that there's going to be additional costs down the road. And that's just something that we can look at individually and see what you would, be looking at. So my second choice is going to be kind of surprising, because when I say this, every time the response I get is, who? MSC Cruises. MSC Cruises. No, if you haven't heard of them, you are not alone. They are new to the American cruising industry, but they are not new to cruising. They are an Italian cruise line. They're about, I think, 35 years old, and they are very well known in Europe. They do a lot of European cruising. They're out of Italy. They're an Italian cruise line, and they are very luxury oriented. They are a great cruise line for European itineraries. They do Russia, they do Mediterranean, of course. They do some fantastic itineraries. Well, they weren't satisfied, they wanted to break into the US market, basically. So they are now porting out of Miami and doing Caribbean itineraries, and they are fantastic. Now, a couple of drawbacks right off the bat is they only do 7-night itineraries, or you can combine 2 7-night and do a 14-night itinerary. So they don't have any shorter itineraries. A lot of times when families are traveling or cruising for the first time, they want to start off with a 3-night or a 4-night because they want to see if they like it. MSC just has the 7 nights. They only port out of Miami. So if you're looking at leaving out of Port Canaveral or Galveston or New York, that they're not porting out of there now. That's not to say that they won't down the road, but right now they only port out of Miami. So they are awesome with families. Here's a couple of reasons that I really, really like the MSC cruises. And I just thought of something I meant to say about Royal, but that's okay. They really do a great job of bundling everything together. So when you book your stateroom, you also book what's called your package. And they have several levels of packages, and you can determine what package you want to see what your cruise experience will include. So you can easily include a drink package and your Wi-Fi package and your and sorry, my husband is texting me from the basement and it's not helpful. And what else? Totally lost my train of thought. So specialty dining, excursions, you can pay for those ahead of time. So that's really nice because you can pay for everything ahead of time and then not have to worry about it anymore. It's done. When you get on the ship, everything is paid for, which is so nice. And then also what package you book kind of determines where your stateroom is located. So the higher your package, the better location you get. They have a partnership with Lego, and this is what blew my mind when I first started learning about MSC. I was like, how is this not a huge thing? Because my kids would lose their minds over this. Their kids club is a Lego kids club. Because Lego is a European company too, and so they kind of go together. And so their kids clubs have it's like Legoland in there. It's amazing. Their baby, their nurseries are Chico. So when you buy baby gear from Target and stuff, and it's CHICCO. And I think I'm saying it wrong. I think there's a fancy way to say Chico, but I've always said Chico. So they have all the nicest baby gear and all the nicest baby toys, and everything is themed perfectly in their nursery. It is so nice. So they have these great partnerships. They also have a partnership with Cirque du Soleil. So there are Cirque du Soleil shows on board your ship that are included in your fare. Just so much. Their food is really well done. Of course, their Italian food, they take a lot of pride in that. They have a lot of, they work with a lot of famous chefs in Italy to plan their meals and plan their menus. They really take a lot of pride in their food and what they offer their guests, and also the level of service. Now, one thing that I think is interesting to know is because it's a European company, they have kind of different standards. So, for instance, on some cruise lines, when you are sailing with them, the crew gets to know you and they hang out with you at dinner and they talk to you and they play with your kids and they become like friends. Some have complained that the MSC cruise is a little standoffish, and I wouldn't say it's standoffish. It's just a different culture. So over there, they are not going to insert themselves in your conversation, in your cruise experience, unless you bring them in. So if you initiate that conversation, if you initiate those relationships, then they are warm and friendly and will absolutely, communicate with you and make those relationships. But they are not going to initiate it, because in Europe, it would be in bad taste for them to initiate those. Another thing is service. Their service is not bad, but they eat their meals a lot more slowly in Europe than Americans are used to. And so that is something that I always caution my families about before they go on MSC. Know that dinner is going to take longer than it typically does at a restaurant. If your kids are like mine and they act like animals at the dinner table, maybe take them to the kids club. They'll get fed in there. So it's not that their service is slow, they just have a different standard because they are a European cruise line and they do have those expectations, not the expectations that we have in the US. But they are phenomenal. They are really trying to get into the US market. They do not want the response to be, who is that anymore? They want MSC to be a family name in the US just like it is in Europe. So as in an effort to really get in good with this cruise market, their fares are crazy low. It blows my mind. Like I said, all of their itineraries out of Miami are 7 nights. And when I price out their cruises, I double check my work because I'm just like, is it really this low? Okay, yeah, it is. And that's with everything included. I don't know how long that's going to last. I'll be honest. I don't know how long they can keep these cruise line rates as low as they are right now, because they're so good. And so I wonder, as they gain in popularity, I think that those fares are going to start going up. So my mentality is take advantage of it now while it's really low, because they are undercutting everybody right now. And the ships are fantastic. I just want to hop back to Royal real quick, because I was going to explain this and then I went down a rabbit trail. So for those families who want balcony staterooms, and the price is an issue, because so there's typically 3 different kinds of staterooms. Interior staterooms that don't have a window, they are inside. Outside staterooms, so they face outside, there's like a porthole window or some sort of window, but you can't actually go outside. And then balconies, so where you can go outside, and it's really nice. Well, they are all priced accordingly. The newer Royal Caribbean ships have a promenade, and so you can have a balcony room that actually faces towards the promenade instead of out towards the ocean, and those are priced lower. So it's kind of nice. It's a nice middle ground between ocean view and the balcony. You get a balcony, but you're not paying as much for it because you're facing the promenade, and you get to people watch. So that was just one thing that I meant to mention about Royal Caribbean, which it can be a really good thing. It's a nice compromise between comfort and budget. And then we all know what my number 1 cruise line is going to be for families. This is not a shocker. It's obviously Disney. They really wrote the book as far as family cruising. Family cruising wasn't really a thing until Disney came around. There were families who cruised, but it wasn't, cruises were more geared toward older folks. It wasn't nearly as popular with families as it is now, and Disney is what changed all that. So I love Disney cruises. When someone asks me why, my answer is always, and this is actually true for any cruise line, it's the perfect vacation to enjoy every member of my family. On a cruise, I get one-on-one time with my husband, I get time with the kids, I get time with each kid alone, and I get alone time. Everybody's happy. So it's such a great way to really enjoy each other. Whereas like when we go to Disney World, it's the 4 of us together all the time, no matter what. Sometimes we'll split up 2 and 2 for different rides, but for the most part, it's all 4 of us together. With cruises, it's so much easier for everyone to do what they want to do. And everybody's happy doing that. So the kids clubs, they're Disney kids clubs. They're amazing. So, you're either playing in the Millennium Falcon, or you're in an Avengers training facility, or you're in, Neverland, the Pixie Hollow. There's just Andy's bedroom. The kids clubs are just insanely themed, perfectly themed, and there are characters in there, and there are games, and the crew members are just phenomenal. They have another club for like the tweens kind of, and then they have a teenage club. So no matter what age you are, there's a place to go. You can hang out with kids your own age, get away from the grown-ups. Same for the grown-ups. There are a lot of adult-only spaces on the cruise ships. So it's not for everybody. I wouldn't recommend Disney for every adult trip, but for me, I totally love Disney, whether I've got kids or not. Their service is just impeccable. And I'll try to concentrate on the things I like as a family. So when they bring you your meals, your assistant server cuts up your kids' food for you. And it's my favorite thing in the world, to not have to cut up my kids' food before I eat. It makes me so happy. It really does. They entertain my kids. They do magic tricks. They get to know my kids. So like, just for example, my youngest one is super picky. He eats macaroni and cheese, or the last time we cruised, he was on a macaroni and cheese kick. And so it got to the point where we would show up at dinner and his macaroni and cheese would just be waiting on him. And then when he got done eating, he could go play in the kids club while my husband and I finished our normal meal. When you see your server and your assistant server around the ship, they make you feel like they've been just waiting to see you all day. Like they just make you feel so good. Everyone is so kind, and they make you feel so special, and the service is just on another level. I have another story about my picky eater. When we cruised, I think he was 2 or 3, I don't remember. He wanted crackers, and we were in Cabanas, which is the buffet restaurant, and I couldn't find just plain crackers, and he was throwing a fit. And so I asked a crew member, like, are there any crackers in here? And he said, no, I don't think so, but let me go look. So he disappeared, and I figured, there aren't any, and so I'm just dealing with my cranky child. And we weren't even in Cabanas anymore. We were on a different part of the ship, and about 10 minutes later, that crew member found me with like this huge thing of those Captain's Wafers crackers. He's like, here, these are for you. Like, he tracked me down with those crackers that my 2-year-old wanted at the time. And it's just stuff like that. Like, the service and the way that they take care of the whole family is just top notch. Everybody's happy. So my kids would be perfectly fine if we just left them in the kids club the whole time. Like, they just have a ball. But we do try to get them out sometimes, but it's just so nice. Like, when my husband and I want to do something, just the 2 of us, kids can go play, and then we can do something the 4 of us together, and then I can go to the spa, or I can go read a book. And it's a really great balance on a family vacation, if that makes sense. They also, just like MSC, just like Royal Caribbean, they have their own private island. It's called Castaway Cay. It's amazing. And then they're building another one called Lighthouse Point. We don't know when that one's going to open yet, so I'll keep y'all posted on that. But Castaway Cay right now is their private island. And they, again, just like their ships, they have an area that's for families. They have it's like an over-the-water playground. It's not a water park, but it's this huge play area that's over the water, and it's really fun. And they have snorkeling and paddle boats and all sorts of things like that. And then you can take the tram to another part of the island where it's only adults. It's totally silent, and it's wonderful. So they just do a good job of making sure that everyone in the family, from the youngest guest to the oldest, has what they're looking for and is happy, and that just makes for a better family experience, I have found. Obviously, Disney prices out way higher than MSC and higher than Royal Caribbean. However, as far as their inclusions, they fall somewhere in between those two. They include a lot more than Royal Caribbean, so that's one thing I let people know. Like, yeah, you're looking at a higher fare with Disney. There's no getting around that. But it includes a lot more. It includes these nicer restaurants, and it includes your entertainment and your activities on board. Like, this is everything that it includes. It includes all your Cokes and stuff like that, where Royal definitely does not. But you can't quite get it quite as inclusive as MSC is. They don't have an all-inclusive drink package anymore. You can't do Wi-Fi ahead of time. There are things like that you do have to pay for when you're on the ship. And personally, I just like having everything possible paid for ahead of time, so that when I'm on vacation, I don't have to think about it. So that's a drawback to Disney, is just it costs. Disney costs what it costs. And that's really the only drawback I can think of as far as Disney. I wish that they had a more all-inclusive package, and of course I wish it was less expensive, but I wish that about everything. So I think that's all. Let me know if y'all have any questions. Again, this is not meant to be a comprehensive list. These are my 3 go-tos when I've got families who want to cruise, especially Caribbean cruises. But if you are to tell me, hey, we want an Alaskan cruise, first of all, I'm not going to look at MSC. They don't sail to Alaska. But Princess is another great option. Norwegian is another good option. So this is not a comprehensive list, and it is different for every family. Every family is looking for something different, wants to experience a certain something, wants to go to certain destinations and have different itineraries and conveniences on the ship. So it really comes down to your personal preferences, and that's what I try to do when I get to know a new client and they're interested in some type of vacation, finding out what is it that you are most interested in, so I can give you options that fit your family best. Disney is not a good fit for everyone. that being said, MSC is not a good fit for everyone, you know? So I'll work with you to figure out what the best options are, but those are my 3 favorites. I'm really, really hoping to cruise MSC early next year, working out the details right now, actually. But I predict they're going to be very big in the US, and I also predict that their fares are going to go way up. I don't think it's going to stay this cheap. I could be wrong. I mean, I can't tell the future, but I don't see how it could possibly stay this low. I really think they're trying to get in this market, get a strong foothold, get some loyal fans, and then they're going to start raising those prices because they can support it. Quite frankly, they've got the service and the amenities and the ships to warrant a much higher price. So if you're interested, I would say 2019, 2020 is when we want to take advantage of that, because I just wouldn't be surprised if like 2021 we start seeing some really big bumps for MSC. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for hopping on here with me. I hope you'll have a great rest of your night.